Who are the top 50 players in the NBA? Today, I'm going to pick who the top 50 NBA players are, and I'm going to rank them. What's up, guys? It's Solo back with another video here on the second channel, Solo 2.0, and I already know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking, Solo, where you been? You know, I haven't uploaded on this channel in like 3 or 4 months. So if you're an OG and you clicked on this video, I appreciate you. If you're new, make sure to sub up. I'm not completely sure what I'm doing with this channel. I want to make it something sports related. I might make it a full basketball channel. I'm about to get into the rankings in a second, but comment down below if you care. Be completely honest. Do you only want to watch basketball related videos, or would you also watch me talk about the NFL? Today, I'm going to be ranking the top 50 players in the NBA. As you guys can see right here, we have the top 10s here. We also have top 20, top 30, top 40, and top 50. So I'm gonna put 10 players in each tier. And as you guys can see, we have a ton of different players. These are their little StatMuse profile pictures, in case you were wondering, like, why do they look like that? And let's just get it out of the way. The number 1 player in the NBA. Let's scroll up here. We got Nikola Jokic. I'm not gonna go too in depth on every player because this video would turn into like 2 hours long, but Jokic just won the finals, just won finals MVP, should have won regular season MVP. I mean, he's just easily the best player in the world right now. Also, what I'm gonna say is this is for the 2023 season. So if I think a player is about to break out, I'm gonna have him higher. So it's not completely based on last year's stats. I'm also factoring in my own kind of like projections. So number 2, this is actually kind of hard to find these players, bro. Like maybe I should just like throw a lot of the top guys up there, but number 2, I think I'm gonna put Giannis. He's just so unstoppable, and he's one of the best defensive players in the game. Yeah, matter of fact, let me just put a bunch of the people that I know will be top 50. Like, let me just drag them up there. Okay, so now we have a lot of the players that'll be in the top 50 in this little tier right here, so it's easier to see them. And then I put a lot of the other players, especially the ones at the top, like Jrue Holiday, Julius Randle, maybe Chris Paul, Mobley. Those guys will probably be in the rankings. I just dragged some of the like debatable ones towards the top, like these top like 2 to 3 rows down here are, you know, debatable players. So let's start off with the top 10. Curry's gonna be in the top 10. Who else will we just have in the top 10? I'm not really, you know, in no specific order right now, but Embiid will be up there, KD will be up there, Luka will be up there, LeBron will probably be up there towards the end. Sadly, you know, he's kind of taking a step down. Ooh, okay, this is where it gets kind of tough. Tatum's probably in the top 10. Okay, so I'll finalize the order at the end. This is just kind of a rough order. I'm gonna go Steph Curry, 3rd best player right now, Luka 4, Embiid 5, KD 6, Tatum 7, Kawhi at 8, and LeBron at 9. Now for this last player in my top 10, there's a lot of good options. You know, you got, maybe you could consider AD. Who else we got? Jimmy Butler, maybe some people will say. Maybe Paul George, maybe Zion. I honestly feel like we're missing somebody, so I don't know if you guys see somebody down here. There might be someone that I just forgot, or just, I don't know. But I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I think this is gonna be a guy that, if you watched the NBA a lot last year or even the year before, you know this guy's a dog. But I'm going to go ahead and say SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm going to put him right behind Kawhi. I'm going to put him at the 9 spot ahead of LeBron. He's going to be that last little wild card player that I'm putting in the top 10. Let me know what you guys think about that. Okay, starting off the top 20, the 11 through 20 range. Let's just drag some players up there that I know will be in that range. Like Damian Lillard will probably be in there. I didn't mean to do Donovan Mitchell, but he might be in there. Where is he? Zion. That's who I wanted to put up there, because when Zion's healthy, bro, he's unstoppable. He probably should be in the top 10. You know, maybe take LeBron down, but I don't know. I just can't do it right now. Maybe later in the video, I'll change my mind. Jimmy's probably going to be top 20. Who else we got? AD's probably top 20. Devin Booker is definitely top 20. Even Devin Booker is debatable for top 10. You know, I'm probably not going to do it, but I feel like it is debatable. Okay, so I put a bunch of players here in the top 20, and then it kind of came down to, I wanted to put Anthony Edwards up there because I'm a big Anthony Edwards fan, but like then I realized Donovan Mitchell wasn't up in that tier, and I feel like Mitchell has to be ahead of Ant, even though Ant's a better defender. It's really close. You know, I think D-Mitch just has the edge right now, so I guess we got to go Anthony Edwards 1 spot behind him. Mitchell's probably, you know, a better scorer as it stands right now, but Edwards has the defense, so it's like, which way do you want to go? I think we'll have Ant in this tier, but now when it comes to the order of these players, this is where it gets interesting. Okay, so after looking at some of the stats, and I'm not really going too in depth with a lot of these players, but I'm actually going to bring Paul George down out of the top 20, and I'm going to put Anthony Edwards in. One of my main reasons for this is, again, I'm a big Anthony Edwards fan. I think he has a ton of potential, and he's way younger than Paul George. Paul George gets injured a lot. He's kind of going up in age, so I feel like I mean, people probably know it's close, but I'm just going to give the edge to Anthony Edwards just because of, you know, the athleticism he has and kind of age. Age is kind of like the defining factor. Now, when we look at the order, I'm going to put Zion at the 11th spot. Zion probably should be top 10. LeBron, I don't like. LeBron and SGA are the debatable ones. I think everyone else is like confirmed top 8. But I think LeBron could be 11 to 20. Let me know what you guys think. It's just too hard to do. Like, based off what we've seen from him, like last year, bro, he averaged what, like 30, like 38 and 9 or something like that. Like, that's insane. So obviously he's up there in age, but I think we got to keep LeBron in the top 10. So I'm gonna have Zion at 11. Zion is crazy when he's healthy. Damian Lillard is a player that I think like people know he's really good, but I think Lillard, like, bro, he's been loyal to the Trailblazers. The Trailblazers really haven't had the best talent. They really haven't been set up, you know, the best. And he's trying to get traded to Miami now. If he's out on an actual contending team and, you know, can go deep in the playoffs, maybe go on a finals run, I think people will really realize how good, like, all-time player Damian Lillard is. I think he's underrated. I have him at 12. I don't know if that's high, but I like him a lot. I got him at 12. Devin Booker, bro, I think he's about to have a crazy year. Like, last year was crazy. We saw what he did in the playoffs. Like, bro, he was I'm pretty sure doing better than Kevin Durant. It was close. Like, they were like 1A, 1B type of thing, but Booker, bro, he's on a mission mentally. I just think he's just locked in. Like, he might even have been the guy that I should put top 10 instead of SGA, but I like SGA on both sides of the ball. His defense a little bit better. So I'm going to go D-Book at, what is this, 11, 12, 13. Jimmy Butler right behind him. And honestly, maybe I have Jimmy Butler too high. Jimmy's a really weird one to rank because he just went on that finals run, kind of carried the Heat, if you want to say that. I mean, as the finals run went deeper, he kind of, I'm not going to say faded away, but in that first round against the Bucks, that was his best round of the playoffs. So he kind of slowed down as things progressed. So maybe I should have Jimmy like more like behind Donovan Mitchell. And maybe I change that later when I really look at my top 50. But for now, we're going to have him there. Anthony Davis, another weird one to rank because when he's on, I'm saying like he's on like as if it's like baseball and he's on a streak or something like at the plate. But you know what I'm saying? When he's going off, he's one of, if not, I'm not going to say the best player in the game, but he's insane. But then he has those games where you're like, I don't know, he's kind of inconsistent. So kind of a weird one to rank. So I'm going to have him here. Ja, we know what he's capable of. He will be suspended, I think, what is it, 25 games. Jaylen Brown, another player that, I mean, he had a bad playoffs. He's another player similar to Jimmy. Jaylen Brown had it worse though in the playoffs. He started off good, like averaging like 26 a game. Next round, he was averaging like 22. Next round, he was averaging like 18. Like, he kept declining as the playoffs progressed. So, you know, he's just good on both sides of the ball. So I got to have him in my top 20. Donovan Mitchell, insane scorer. You know, probably a better scorer than Jaylen Brown, I would say. But Jaylen Brown's better defensively. So that's why I have him ahead of him. And then James Harden. How much is age gonna, you know, factor in here? Because how old is he now? Like 35? He's somewhere in that range. I don't think he's older than that, but he's in that range. I mean, he's just one of the smartest players in the game. We've known that from when he was drawing fouls left and right. I got him up here. You know, we got to put some respect on his name. And then, you know, my pick, already explained it, Anthony Edwards to round out the top 20. Paul George got bumped down to the top 30. It's tough, bro. There's a lot of good players in the NBA now. Who else am I going to have in this top 30? We're running out of players down here, so it might be time to start looking toward this bottom range here. Like Drew Holiday, he'll be in the top 50. Julius Randle probably will. He was just all NBA. What was it, third team? Mobley probably will. Bridges is an interesting one. We'll have to see. And then there's some other players like DeJounte Murray, who will probably make the cut. Scotty Barnes, Miles Turner's probably top 50. Ayton, I don't know what's going on with him. He had a weird playoff run. There's going to be a lot of players to look into. So let me figure out who I am going to have in my top 30. Okay, so looking at my top 30 tier, we got Tyrese Halliburton added. And he's a player that is very underrated. Probably the most underrated, you know, star level, all-star level player in the NBA. He is insane. Plays on great efficiencies. Is a great passer, probably the best passer in the league, if not one of them. I'm not going to go too in depth on everybody, but we got Paul George, of course. Kyrie is in this tier. Brandon Ingram, Bam Adebayo, Karl Anthony Towns, Trae Young, Pascal, and Drew Holiday. Now, those are in no order yet. I think Halliburton will be at the first spot, but they are not in a specific order. Now, when it comes to this last spot, I was debating between Fox, LaMelo Ball, Brunson, and Randall. So let me know in the comments, who would you take out of those four to add to this last tier? A lot of people might take Randall. Now, I'm a little lower on Randall than most. or maybe I'm not. Maybe you guys also have him a little lower, but he was just third team All NBA. Maybe I'll make a mistake. Maybe I'll bump him up later. But if I was picking like who do I want on my team going into 2023, I think I'm gonna take De'Aaron Fox. I'm gonna give De'Aaron Fox that last spot, and I'm not saying he's gonna be what was this, 30th? Yeah, I think this is 30th. I'm not saying he's gonna be the last person in this tier, but he's the last person I'm gonna add. So these three are definitely gonna be in this top 40 tier. And again, I'm gonna change the rankings at the end once I know who my top 50 are. Okay, so this is the order that I'm going with for my top 30. Leading it off, we have Haliburton. I already talked about him. Then we have Kyrie, who one of the best scorers in the game, especially one-on-one ISO, just one of the best shot creators in the game. You know, he's got to be pretty high up on this list. I got him right behind Haliburton. Brandon Ingram is going to be next. Now, you might be thinking, Paul George is falling. You know, he was in that top 20 tier at first. Maybe I'm making a mistake. I probably am. But again, this is kind of a projection for 2023, 2024, both those years. You know, it's not based on completely last year. It's also a projection. So I guess I have Paul George kind of regressing, it looks like, because where was he at like last year? He's got to be in the top 20 last year, I'd assume. Now I have De'Aaron Fox also ahead of Paul George. I'm just kind of thinking like, who would I want on my team for next year? Brandon Ingram's a dog, by the way, if you guys have not paid too much attention to him. I mean, if Zion's healthy next year, the Pelicans are going to be scary. I mean, weren't they the 1 seed, or they were a top seed for a while when they were all healthy? Like, the Pelicans are definitely going to be very competitive. Fox taking a huge jump from last year. I got him in, what is this, the 4th spot, whatever, 33, something like that. Paul George is going to be next. Then I have Bam Adebayo ahead of Cat. Cat is kind of a faller too. I think Cat was probably around that 13-15 range last year, but now I don't know. I'm not a huge Cat guy. I know he's, you know, a great big man shooter. He can rebound, and maybe I should have him higher, but I'm personally, I think, going to take pretty much all of these guys ahead of him. And the reason for Bam being ahead of him is Bam is one of the best big man defenders in the game, whereas Cat is kind of soft when it comes to, you know, interior D. So I'm giving Bam the edge there. Trae Young is low. Now, if you were to just look at the stats and be like, oh, this dude, you know, scores what, 27 points per game, 10 assists per game, you know, you might have him in the top 20 even. But this is a guy that I believe didn't make the All-Star game. And if you look at his efficiencies, they're really low. Like, he shoots a lot. So I don't know, his usage rate is just very high. He's a good player. I got him in the top 30. That's still really good. And another thing is his defense is too much of a liability for me. So that's another reason why I have him, you know, lower compared to these other guys. Next up, we got Pascal. He's a guy that I thought last year was going to take a jump. He really didn't, but he's a good passing big man. He can rebound, he can score, he can do pretty much everything, solid on defense. So I got him at, what is this, 29? And then Drew Holiday's in my top 30. That might be a surprise to some of you guys, but he is one, if not the most well-rounded. He's probably not the most well-rounded, but out of the point guards, but he's definitely up there in the conversation. When you look at defense, you look at passing, you look at scoring, three-point shooting, everything. He's got to be up there, and he's also, in my opinion, probably one of the most underrated players of the last decade. So that is going to be my top 30. Now it is on to the top 40 and then the top 50. And matter of fact, before I, you know, make my choices for the top 40, let me just, you know, I'm going to have Bridges in the top 50. Jared Allen, I'm not sure of. DeJounte Murray will probably be top 50. Who else we got down here? I don't know. We got some options. Maxey might end up making the cut. I'm gonna have to look at this. Okay, so I pretty much have my top 40 now. I just found somebody that was all the way down here in the bottom that I skipped over. So we're gonna have to put him into the rankings. That is Domantas Sabonis. I wonder if anybody realized that he was not up here. I think I'm gonna put him right behind Paul George. He's another weird one to rank. Had a really good year, one of the best passing bigs in the league. That is going to bump down Drew Holiday to this 41st spot, I believe this is. Wait, hold on, I'm tripping. This is 31. Yeah, because it's 31 to 40. Okay, I might have been saying that wrong the whole video. But we're going to go with Drew Holiday. Then we're going to have Julius Randle. This is not in any order, but these are just the players that I'm picking for this tier. Okay, now it's in order. So this is what we're doing. We're going to go Drew Holiday, Julius Randle. Then we're going to go with LaMelo Ball. He's a player that has potential to, I mean, a lot of these players have potential to go really high, but LaMelo one day could be top 10 for sure, top 20. Maybe this year he does it, but I'm going to go LaMelo in this, what is this, 33rd spot, something like that. Then we're gonna go Jalen Brunson just ahead of Darius Garland. These players are interesting. Who would you guys rather have for next year? Jalen Brunson or Darius Garland? Very tough, very tough. I'd probably say Brunson's better scorer. Garland's a better passer. And then on defense, I don't know who's better. Next up, I'm going to go Jaren Jackson Jr. He just won Defensive Player of the Year, I'm pretty sure. One of the best big man defenders in the league. Some people might say it's rigged. He's not actually that good. Well, he's obviously good, but you know, there's a whole thing that the Grizzlies scorekeepers, when they're at home, give him extra blocks when it might have not been a block, but it was close. So maybe he didn't deserve it. I don't know. He's obviously an elite defender, though. I'm gonna put him ahead of Porzingis, who Porzingis is probably a better scorer, but when it comes to defense, I'm gonna just bump up Jaren just that much more because of how much he, you know, helps and just kind of anchors the paint. And also, Porzingis is going to the Celtics, and I kind of feel like his role is going to be lesser. Like, is he going to score 20 points per game now with Tatum and Brown on his team? I don't know. Probably not. It's going to be close for sure. Then we're going to go with Jamal Murray. This is a player that maybe you guys would have higher, like top 30 maybe after his playoff run winning the finals. But obviously, none of that happens without Nikola Jokic. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have him much lower than this. You could definitely argue to put him higher. You know, just he's a tough one to rank. He's a tough one. Then I'm going to go with Evan Mobley. I think Mobley's underrated offensively. He's solid, and then he's going to grab a ton of boards, and he's insane at defense. I mean, that's his best thing. Next up, we got Fred VanVleet to round out the top 40. So what is this? The 40th spot? I don't know, bro. That stuff confuses me, like the numbers. But yeah, Fred is 40th. He's a player that I don't think he averaged 20 last year, but he was very close to it. I think that, you know, going to the Rockets, he's going to average, honestly, he could average 25. He could average 25. He's that type of a player, and I like him heading into this next year. Maybe you guys would have him probably lower than me, but I got him at 40. Okay, so I now have my final, not final, but this is like the top 50, the little rough sketch or whatever you want to call it. And I have a few things to say. So number one, I just realized Cade Cunningham is not on this list. Would he be in my top 50? Yes, he would be my top 50. I realized because I had to put Paolo up there. I hadn't had him. He was kind of low down here, and I found him, and I was like, yeah, Paolo's probably top 50. This is not the order for the last row yet. I want to say that this is not the order. I still have to order them, but I think these are the players that I'm going with. I really wanted to put Clay in my top 50, but I just couldn't. You know, if I do a top 75, which I probably will, you know, whether it's in a few weeks or a few months, I probably will, and Clay will be in, you know, probably the top 60. But we also have some other snubs like CJ McCollum, Jalen Green, Scotty Barnes, Chris Paul. I know he's a Warrior, and he probably should be top 50. I don't know. There's a lot of very close ones, and it's kind of like just personal preference. Tyrese Maxey, Şengün's up here, OG Anunoby, RJ Barrett, who took a good jump at the end of last season, Josh Giddey, Jeremy Grant, even Russell Westbrook, Draymond Green. The list goes on. You can keep looking at the players. There's so many good options. I don't know, bro. I think these are the ones you have to go with. And shit, if you're looking at this, you might be thinking, Terry Rozier, really? I think Terry Rozier is underrated. So I got him in the top 50. Maybe he shouldn't be. Maybe I'll think about that more. But Kyle Kuzma's another one. I think he kind of deserves a spot. I don't know, bro. Picking only 50 players is tough. Now let me order them. Okay, so the list is now in order, and what I'm going with is DeMar DeRozan at the front. I feel pretty confident about that. And then Bradley Beal. I feel like those were the kind of easier picks for the first two spots in the top 50 here in this 41 to 50 ranking. Then I'm going to go with Mikal Bridges. And let me know what you guys think about this, because it's kind of harder to put him much higher than this. But this is a guy who's coming out of being like an elite role player, and now he's kind of like not the face of the franchise. I mean, maybe you could say that. I don't know what you'd call it, but he's kind of entering that star level player where he's elite on defense, and now he's averaging 20 points per game. I think that could go up this next season. So I got him here, and I mean, he's a player that people need to watch. Maybe he even jumps higher up, but I got him there. LaVine's kind of just a player, like, you kind of know what you're going to get out of him, so I put him there. DeJounte Murray, I feel like kind of took a step back this past season, but he's great defensively, solid offensively. Maybe he should be higher on the list. And then we have Paolo Banchero, who's kind of like an all-around player. I like to see him get a little bit better defensively, but I got him in the top 50. DeAndre Ayton. Honestly, this bottom tier is just players like, where do you really put them? Like, this mix of players in this bottom tier, and then the players on the top tier of the players I didn't use, they're all kind of close, bro. Like Scotty Barnes, debatable top 50. You could definitely, like, if you had any of these guys in the top 50, like, I could get behind it. Like Barnes, Rozier, Klay Thompson, CJ McCollum, Chris Paul, Jalen Green, Tyrese Maxey, Şengün, Anunoby, RJ Barrett, Jeremy Grant, even Westbrook, I guess, Draymond Green. And then after that, I probably wouldn't, say any of these players. Maybe Bane, maybe Middleton. Wiggins is debatable. Brook Lopez, if you love his defense. Maybe Vucevic, even Gobert potentially. But as we keep looking, Miles Turner I have right behind DeAndre Ayton. I don't know. I had a gut feeling like put Turner ahead of him, but I decided to just keep it like this, Ayton over Turner. Then we have Kuzma and then Josh Giddey. So Terry Rozier was someone that I was just talking about. I took him out. I don't know, something felt weird about him, having that last spot. And Josh Giddey is a guy who just averaged like almost 70 points per game. I think like 8 boards and like 7 assists, something like that. Like, he's a player that I think could take a big step forward in this next year, and I had to give him a top 50 spot. It just is crazy to me, like, that I don't have Scotty Barnes up there. I just don't know who to take out, though. Like, I want to put Scotty Barnes in there. Even Terry Rozier, I feel like should be in there. Klay. I mean, I just went over this, but it's just a tough list to do, guys. It's a tough list. Let me know what you would change. But now, let me make my final changes. Okay, so for my final changes on this list, I think I have 4 changes, I think it is. The first one is debatable. It almost seems crazy, but I'm putting Kawhi ahead of Jason Tatum. Now, listen, hear me out, because I know what you're thinking. If you look at the box scores, you look at the stats, you're like, Solo, you're crazy. Tatum was in MVP consideration. But look, picture you're in the playoffs, right? Picturing the playoffs. Who do you want to have the ball? Who do you feel safer with on your team, if healthy, obviously? If we're factoring in health, then Kawhi is much lower. Zion's probably lower. There's a lot of change, but we got to assume these players are healthy, I think, for this scenario. And I'm going to put Kawhi ahead of Tatum. I don't think that's that crazy. The second change is going to be Davis ahead of Jimmy Butler. When I really thought about it, like, Davis just controls the paint so much, I guess, on both sides of the ball. And Butler obviously played great in the playoffs, but I don't want to have too crazy of recency bias. You could even say, honestly, if you don't want to go too crazy with the recency bias, you could say Jimmy Butler's like, nah, see, I'm not going to do it, but you could say he's like right ahead of Harden. I'm not going to do it though. I think Jimmy is fine right there ahead of like Ja, because if I was to picture like who do I want on my team when it's the playoffs, I don't think I would take anybody behind Jimmy. Like I wouldn't take Ja, I wouldn't take Jaylen Brown, D Mitch, James Harden. I think I would keep Jimmy. You know what I'm saying? The next change is going to be Porzingis dropping down 2 spots behind Mobley. It's tough because when you factor in players' situations and what team they're on and what they're getting themselves into, I do think Porzingis takes a hit going to the Celtics. Like, his role is going to be less, and it's kind of like when Kevin Love started playing with LeBron. Kevin Love was MVP caliber on the Timberwolves before he started playing with LeBron. His situation changed or whatever, and he kind of fell off. Porzingis doesn't take it too big of a hit, but I thought about it more, and like, he could be maybe even lower on this list. You could even say like behind Bridges, or he could be down in this range too. I don't think that's too crazy, but I'm gonna keep him right there. Now the last change is gonna be Mikal Bridges ahead of Bradley Beal. I think it's not even crazy to say Bridges will score more than Beal this year because he has more of a chance, more opportunities with that team. Beal now with Devin Booker and KD, his points per game will probably go down. I know it doesn't all come down to, oh my God, who scores more points per game, but Bridges has way better defense than Beal. Obviously, Beal's a better scorer, but Bridges' defense, I'm giving him the edge. Also, he has the age definitely over Beal. What is he like? I don't even know, 7 years younger. I don't know, something like that. So I'm gonna move Bridges a little higher up. He's a player that we could see rise. I'm not gonna say like a Jaylen Brown, but he's kind of like a Jaylen Brown light. You know what I'm saying? Jaylen Brown 2.0. I'm not saying he'll go top 20 one day, but he's a player that can kind of follow in that track, you know what I'm saying? And then I feel pretty confident about the rest of these rankings. So let me know, what do you guys think of the rankings? These are the final rankings. Of course, Jokic at the first spot. And this little area right here, I already know people are going to talk about. They're going to be like, bro, Embiid just won MVP. How is he not second? Or how is he not even one? Well, I think people will agree with Jokic just won. But Embiid, I got down here. I could even say KD over Embiid. I'm not going to do it though. But Giannis, one of the major things is defense. You might say, oh, Luka's way better. Luka should be 2. Luka should be ahead of Steph too. I'm giving Giannis the edge just because how unstoppable he is on offense and defense. He's crazy. Curry, bro, you look at the numbers, you're like, oh, bro, he doesn't get as many assists as Luka. He doesn't score as much as Luka. But bro, what he does to opposing defenses, he's drawing a double team pretty much every play. The whole defense is constantly worrying about him at all times. Like, it's time we start giving Curry his respect, bro. People were making these lists and they would have him at like 10. They'd have him at the end. Bro, after that last playoff run, after that last season, bro, I got Curry at 3. And honestly, I wouldn't be too mad if you had him at 4 or even 5 or 6, I think is the farthest he could go. But I'm going to have him at 3. The rest of this, I don't want to make this video too long, but it's pretty self-explanatory. I explained a lot of it earlier. Yeah, I like the list a lot. Let me know what you would change in the comments, and sub up if you guys are new, and go crazy on this video. Drop a like, drop a comment if you guys made it this far. Drop a comment if you enjoy, because that'll probably motivate me to upload more on this channel. I'm gonna do a lot of sports videos on this channel, NBA, possibly NFL, so stay tuned. I appreciate it for watching. I'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks for watching.